there's a psalm. It's in that same book of Psalms, I believe, where it talks about, and then the Lord did this, His love endures forever, and then the Lord did this, His love endures forever.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, that concept of we have to remember, we have to go back and remember what the Lord has done in the past. We have to that has been there from the beginning.
But with the purpose, many times, if not most times, to spur us on to continue to trust Him and follow Him.
Well, and you see that even in these songs these days. So we didn't do it at Valleydale, although I really considered it that "Do It Again" song. Mm-hmm. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe that you'll do it again. Mm-hmm. Very, very biblical concept. I've seen what you've done, and maybe like I kind of don't believe you're going to do it again, but I'm going to sing about what you've done, and I'm going to choose to believe that you will.
Right.
And we had the song yesterday, which we will do. I think it'll be a congregational song for us.
I witnessed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've witnessed your faithfulness. I've seen you breathe life within, and I'll pour out my praise, and I'm confident that I'll see you do it again.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was good.
It's a
good
great
message, yeah.
super singable song. Thank you, Passion Worship. I don't know exactly who wrote it. I'm guessing Stephen Furtick is in there somewhere. He gets a writing credit on every. I think that's required
Look
now.
that up
Stephen
for us.
Furtick gets a writing credit on every song.
Evolution.
Evolution
Worship.
Everybody, check out Evolution Worship from North Dakota.
What was that called?
Elevation.
Elevation. Oh, that's the one in North Carolina. Yeah.
Band.
Evolution.
Charles Darwin.
Okay, but Jared, come over here really quick. Evolution Band from Pastor Charles Darwin, and I think it's at North Point in Atlanta. Hey, Jared. So, guys, that's Jared. Hey, listen, everybody who's watching us today that was here for the past 6 weeks and went to Stories and Songs, the whole thing, and everybody that said, wow, this experience is great, and the videos are so wonderful, this is the reason. This thing right next to me, this personified image, yes, with the tight biceps and the many tattoos, this is him. He has articulating action. Jared,
disposable thumb.
He had, yeah, excellent.
Did you say disposable?
This is the disposable. Opposable thumb.
If you want to throw them away, they come back too. So.
Okay. He's not an old world monkey, he's a new world monkey, because they have the opposable thumbs.
Are we just going to talk about evolution today? Is that kind of? I feel like that's what
old world and new world. That
for.
has nothing to do with evolution. Oh, that I called him a monkey? Oh, sorry about that. No. We don't. We do not believe that people evolved from monkey. That's complete
Pastor
hogwash.
Matt, please come back.
That's complete hogwash. But that's my line. Okay, never mind. Either way, please thank Jared. If you see him, please thank him. He did so much work, and
all
also,
of the 50th committee, and we won't list names as Pastor Mac hesitated to do yesterday. I don't want to leave anybody out, but they obviously have been working very hard for, I think, what he said, 13 months.
Yeah.
So it was a good celebration. So
yeah, it was a great celebration
with the anniversary in mind.
Yes. Okay. Here we go.
I'm not ready to move on just yet.
Please don't.
Because this is a big year for me too.
Is it?
Have we not talked about this?
We have, but this is a little bit dramatic.
This is the biz. Got it. This is also the year that Johanna Horseman was established.
Wow. 50 years ago, you mean?
50 years ago, yes, 1973. Same as the church. I'm just a few months younger
than the church.
Yes.
You look great. May I say that?
Thank you.
So
do I look younger than the Permastone building? That's really what I need to hear from you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
When I look at you, I do not think of the word Permastone. It does not come to mind.
Excellent. But with that in mind, and Pastor mentioned yesterday when he was talking about the founding members and what a step of faith it was for them to start establishing this church, buying the land they needed, all these things. He mentioned that the average salary, do you remember? During 1973?
He did say that. Was it $12,000 a year?
It was $12,000 a year.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Again, as he said, just imagine that. Yeah, and
now.
their first purchase among those families was 7.5 acres or something like that.
Man.
So, just really cool stories about that. But I looked up the cost of some things in 1973, as well as some other fun facts about 1973.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the funnest fact, obviously, is that the church was established and that I was born. But beyond that...
Both of that's one.
Beyond that.
Beyond that, okay.
So I have a quiz for you. I know that you were not born yet.
No.
But I'm just going to ask you some questions.
I'm of 1985 vintage.
Yes.
So
Any idea what a gallon of gas cost in 1973?
Now this is interesting. This is the early 70s. So
Yes.
this is like, didn't they do?
The pre-gas crisis?
Oh, this is pre-gas.
Yeah, I
that
think
was until the
so.
late 70s. I'm going to
think
say
so.
37 cents a gallon.
So close, 40.
Yes.
Did you just invert 73? Is that what you did?
No, it just 30.
Okay.
I'm 37 years old. It just felt right.
Okay.
40 cents a gallon.
A first-class stamp. First of all, do you know how much a first-class stamp costs today?
I'm not old enough to know that. What is it about? I feel like to get the news on stamps, I have to call my grandmother. Like,
Yeah.
Mom, when was the last time? And she always knows. So
It seems to change often. Any idea what it was in 73?
I'm going to
though?
say 14 cents.
8 cents.
Oh,
that's what
eight.
I had in my head.
Well, you said $8 for the one today. That was overshooting by a little bit.
Yeah,
So
I
8
was-
cents.
I was just go ahead.
Yeah.
8 cents.
We're just so close to the right answers today, you know.
I'm
Just-
getting it. Yeah.
I said 8 in my head.
Wait till we get to the Bible.
A gallon of milk.
These are. I'm glad. These are so interesting.
75 cents.
Jared says
No.
75 cents. It's less than that. It's less than that. Let's say 50 cents.
It's more than that.
Could you buy a gallon of milk? I thought it just came in glass jars back then. I thought that someone had to bring it in.
You actually had to have your own cows.
Yeah, you had to own a cow, so it's like your monthly payment on the cow that you bought.
A gallon of milk was $1.40,
Okay, see, I
which is
should
higher
remember
than I
this.
thought it would be.
Well, hasn't it always been more than a gallon of gas? Milk has? Well, no, so gas has
We also
gone,
don't
because
know
you're
this.
talking about the gas was only 40 cents. Now gas is like, I mean, it's well over 3 here in Alabama. It's like $5 if you go north. So that's interesting that the gas prices have outpaced the milk prices.
Yes.
What else do we have from
What else do we have
1973?
is, and we actually, somebody, I think Pike actually threw this out in one of the early reels that we did, kind of quizzing people on 1973 stuff, but a dozen eggs. The cost.
99 cents.
You got a guess?
Jared says
85 cents.
85
69 cents.
69 cents. Man,
I
yeah,
always take the under.
yeah, I should have taken the under
A
there.
package of Oreos.
Oreos were around in 73?
Yes.
Probably not
I want to
Oreos.
know when
Probably
Oreos
just
were
like a
invented.
little, like, off-brand
No, they were
Yeah.
Oreos.
That was always the highlight for me of VBS, like back in the late
off-brand.
80s. Oh, yeah, the
Brown and
Kool-Aid
white
with the
ones.
off-brand Oreos.
I'd say
Man, you crushed those things.
17 cents.
It's not known as a big package of Oreos. $1.50.
whole-
$1.50 for a package
We
of Oreos.
didn't spend. I don't know that the party size existed
Okay.
back then,
Oh,
but
okay.
59 cents.
Only 59
59
cents.
cents.
That's a little high.
You know, like, it's interesting. Most of the time, like, I get a little bit frustrated by the idea of American excess, right? I try to be more conservative. But all that went out the window when double stuffed Oreos were invented.
That's true.
I was like, why was it not like this from the beginning, right, Jared?
Yeah,
This is
I-
one of
You're
the, this is
disgusted
another
by
one of
that.
those things you're
Jared,
wrong about.
you're gonna
though.
be my co-host next time. She didn't even like double stuff. Just come here. Jared's just gonna walk right in. We don't need engineering.
Traditional
Just come on
Oreos
in.
for me, not the double stuff.
Okay,
no,
really?
no, no,
Wait,
I
how
can't
much-
remember the last time I even ate an Oreo.
How much was a
I'm
White
gonna be honest
Castle
with
cheeseburger?
you. White Castle.
I would have to do some research on that. I don't know.
Do you know what White Castle is?
I do. It's like crystals,
I
basically.
don't even know what White Castle is. I just was on
I
a
know
field
it was
trip.
in a movie.
It's like
at
the.
one
It's kind of
point.
like the
It's
crystals.
like the first fast food, isn't it?
Do we have anything?
Don't- are you
do we have
looking?
anything else? Stop
No,
looking at the
I'm not
answers.
looking.
All right, what else?
Average
What-
cost of a home in 73. And
Now
I'm
this is going to be shockingly low.
yeah, and it's so different across the country too. But
70.
This was average.
average across the country.
See,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
You know,
not,
like
that's not as
California.
helpful.
71,000.
I was going to say 75,000.
Are y'all ready for this? 32,500.
Shut up! That is impossible.
Are you ready? This one's really gonna kill you.
I would have 12 homes. I would own 12 homes right now.
$31,000.
I would be a real estate mogul. Yes.
I don't understand. I have to read about that. Where
Yeah.
where are you getting these facts?
Oh, it's not a reputable website. This is all just
Google,
Yeah.
Googling stuff.
no.
can't
I will send
believe
you the
that.
link.
I can't
And then,
believe that.
but also be ready to be shocked with this one. A new car.
That's
This is going to be I'll say $8,000. Just because I know that this one has
What was
really
that, like Model T? Probably about
These are the ones you had to hand crank.
4,000.
Model T.
4,000. 4,500.
You're closer. 3,200 for a brand new car.
I love that.
Now, but so now I want to do all the math, because if the average that you make in a year is $12,000 and a new car is $3,200,
It's 25. It's approximately 25% of your salary.
that means that you could actually buy a new car
Yeah.
and not go into debt.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
The prices went up, but our salaries.
Is this
did
turning into one of those economics podcasts right now?
Yes.
Because this is
It's about to
fascinating
get super
me.
political.
$3,200 for
Yeah.
a new car?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not talking politics. I'm just
No.
I'm just saying
Just
this is
kidding.
just that's just fascinating to me. All right,
All right.
I want to talk more about the economics offline when we get.
Now
we
that
get
I've
done
blown
with
your
this.
mind, just
Okay.
a couple other fun facts.
Wow, 50
See if you've
years
even
is
heard of these things because you're
Okay.
both so young. Okay.
not that young.
The family shows of the time. Any guesses?
Are we supposed? We're supposed to guess?
What's that
Yes.
show Pastor always talks about? Andy Griffin.
No,
Griffin.
Andy.
Andy
You don't
Griffin.
even know what it's called. Get out of
Andy
here.
Griffin.
It
You're
was
done.
literally black
You're
and white,
done.
dude.
You're done.
Wait.
That was like that was the 50s and
What year are we
60s.
talking about?
Talking about 73.
That's
Bro,
that show. That's
where?
that
How did you
show.
do these? You don't even know what year it is. How do you know what videos these are?
I don't know.
I'll just throw them out to you. You don't know them. All in the Family, The
I remember
Waltons,
that one. I don't
Sanford
know
and
that
Son,
Sanford and Son.
MASH, Hawaii Five-0. Those were some of the top.
I've seen a
television
few
shows.
episodes of because MASH. The big deal with MASH was that it was the multiple plot lines at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
which of course now all shows are like that.
Yes. Spam and Tab were popular food items.
That's right. Tab, one of the first diet sodas, if not the first. And the taste was terrible.
Also, Jell-O salad.
That was really a thing, Jello salad in the 70s, yeah.
It's fire.
Dude, just shut up. You do not like Jello salad.
Fruit in it.
Yes.
Pink.
I mean, it's various colors because Jell-O is various
I
colors.
remember going to all kind of church get-togethers, and they would always have big old bowl of
And
Jell-O
gelatin salad. Did you?
Yes.
That was a little bit like
Yeah, but we'd have both
more
of them.
opaque
We'd
than
have-
Jell-O salad.
I need all my foods to be opaque, please. No clear foods.
We'll get through these quick. Top male, female baby names:
John and Mary.
Jennifer and Michael. And Michael, by the way, had been the top since 1961.
Yeah,
How's
there's
that true? I feel like there's a lot more Johns in the world than there are Michaels.
There's a lot more variation now.
Oh, so much more.
Everybody wants to change the spelling, and everybody wants to, the internet has messed with all this stuff.
True. Shrinky Dinks. Do you know what those are? Do you know what Shrinky Dinks are?
I'm not even gonna guess. I'm not even gonna guess what that is.
They were so cool. So I remember these. Obviously, I did not play with them as an infant, but so they were around for a little while.
What is this? As a toy?
So they were, yes, they were these kind of transparent sheets that had images on them, and you would color them however you wanted to, and cut them out, and then you'd put them in the oven, and they would shrink.
Oh, interesting.
And it was super cool.
I need to look up a YouTube video of this. John Sistrunk is watching right
If
now.
any-
Be like,
yes.
yes, I remember this.
If anyone is watching, please tell me
There's
if you
no
remember
one
Shrinky
watching
Dinks. They
now.
were super cool.
They saw that Pastor went to Mississippi. They're not even watching. And then they saw Jared walk in frame, and they're like, I'm turning this garbage off.
We actually got 55,000 new viewers.
So popular songs of 1973, and I know every single one of these, which again is so insane to
So
me.
Miss Debbie told me a couple of these. One is Bad Bad Leroy Brown.
Yes. Yep.
The other one is Tie a Yellow Ribbon
Yes.
Around the
Yes.
Old Oak Tree.
Yep.
And then, I don't know, what
You're So Vain, Killing Me
Oh my
Softly,
gosh.
You Are
Oh.
the Sunshine of My Life, and Crocodile Rock.
Oh, gotta love Crocodile Rock.
That's him playing the piano.
Yeah, Elton John, what a masterful piano.
A lot of people don't know that he only used 2 fingers to play the piano.
Yes, yeah, it's an interesting birth defect.
We have to. Cut
What
that
else
part
do we
out.
have?
Okay, yeah, a couple more. The handheld cell phone was invented in 1973.
Really?
Yes.
And it was this big.
By
I can't hear. Hold on. I can't.
it's probably like when you see people talking on their iPads. You know,
Do you see that? Does that
You
happen?
see people taking pictures.
you do say the pictures. Yes. Yes.
I'm not hating, but everybody on the trip in Israel.
Yes, I was about to say.
Man, like,
Yes.
take photos.
That's absolutely true, yes. But it was invented by a Motorola engineer. His name was Martin Cooper. and it weighed 2.5 pounds. I don't know what was an iPhone weigh. I don't know.
I don't even think it's a half a pound.
Yeah, pretty light.
So yeah, 2.5 pounds. That gets tight. If you got to hold it up here the whole time.
That's why everybody was in shape.
That gets tight. Yeah, that's right. I had to do a bicep curl just to talk on the phone.
All right. Last thing is about fashion.
Oh no.
I'm just going to throw out some things that were popular, that were the rage. This article says.
Bell bottoms. This is the early 70s.
Bell bottoms were there. Long hair in general. Mutton chops.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever considered having mutton chops?
The big burn.
I thought they could work for you.
I genuinely have never considered that.
Okay. Flyers.
What?
PF Flyers, the shoes. That might have been more the 60s.
You know those?
No.
Sandlot shoes?
No.
You never watched The Sandlot?
I have seen Sandlot, but I don't remember the shoes. I don't.
She's got a generational divide.
You have to remember, women's brains literally do not register every line of every movie they've ever seen. We just
Yeah.
remember in general whether or not we liked it.
Okay, that's fine.
And then, so we said bell bottoms. That was in denim and corduroy. Colorful shirts, plaid, paisley, tie-dye, platform shoes, and the shoe of the day actually was hush puppies.
Interesting, even for adults.
Yeah,
Because
they
now
said
it's
it
just
was.
kidding. Now I feel
Yeah,
like
those
hush
those
puppies
like
are
brown,
kids.
suede-y
Yeah.
kind of.
Like Clark's. Or not Clark's, what do they call it?
I know what you're talking
What's
about.
it called? Wallabies.
The hush puppies. I had some hush puppy shoes when I was a little
Wallabies,
kid.
the adult version of
I
Wallabies.
feel like I just caught like the end of a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are some of my earliest memories. So days gone by, and now the church is 50 years old, and here we are. It's 50 years old in one day or whatever. What are we going?
2 days, because it was the 9th actually. Yeah.
Oh,
right?
it was the night. That's okay.
9th, we celebrate on the 10th.
Right.
Right?
I can't remember.
Yes.
But here we
fairly
are.
certain.
Man, and what a great celebration it was. We had one service. It was really a packed house. I think they set up enough chairs so that nobody had to go to the overflow. I think some people still
good.
sat in there, but they didn't absolutely have to, which was nice.
There were a lot of people there. I did, Sarah Cook was taking pictures for us. Thank you, Sarah. Lacey also took pictures. Jared, the whole weekend. But she sent a picture from the track, and there were a lot of people in the worship center yesterday.
It was really something.
Yeah.
And then we had and the reunion choir. There were so many people back, and we just it was just.
We did
a
the stories
really
and
good
songs
time.
the Saturday night before, which was a lot of fun.
That was really something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because that was such a. Most of the songs we did were from the '90s,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like the era for the creative arts at the church, and you know they remembered Keith Martin, who was one of the worship. Well, he was kind of the worship guy
Right.
that built that whole department. Sadly, he's passed away. But Chris Decker was there. I got to meet him. That was really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To meet because he was there for 20 years, and he did a good job following Keith and keeping the legacy going. And here we are, all these years later, in the year of our Lord, 2023.
Here we are, doing a sermon recap. They didn't do those back in 1973.
You've been here at the church. I don't know what. Have you been here 11 years?
It was 9 years
Just
this
9
month.
years. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've seen the church through so many transit because you came like right after Jason came. Mm-hmm. You know.
You came right after Jason left.
That's right.
Right before
Which
Jason
just perfectly
left.
bookended Jason. Yeah, if you guys want the story with me and Jason, go back to the sermon recap from mid-January. That's a really, really funny. Me and Jason just chewing the fat after all these years. That was really fun.
But I mean, it has been an interesting time, and I, Dan Hall spoke about it in one of his videos. It's just you really do have to respect and honor the people who have been here since day one,
Absolutely.
And not that anyone who left and is still gone or left and came back is not as much a part of that history, but just to exhibit that, that faithfulness to what they felt like God was calling them to do here through a lot of changes.
Well, since he has been here, Pastor has really led us in this. And I even texted him yesterday just to say, Pastor, I'm just grateful that you showed us how to honor people in the past. Because like that's the thing. We celebrated all of the good times. Were there some bad times in Valladolid? Of course there were. Did all these different did different people make mistakes? Were there hurt feelings? Were there some divisions? Of course there were. But Pastor does such a great job of just saying, you know what, you serve the Lord, and we're going to honor you. We would not be here today if it were for. And I just love that. And so I was just grateful that we were able to honor the Lord through all this and honor the people that went before. We got to honor the charter members. Pastor had the previous pastors of the church stand up. 2 were in attendance. Obviously, Jason had come in January, so he wasn't there with us. Dan couldn't be there with us. Hard for him to travel, but he was there via video. And it was just a healthy time to honor the. And then Pastor's message, which, we've talked so much about 1973, we probably don't have as much time to get to actually get to Pastor's message. But he took those last 4 verses of Exodus. It is poetic that we're ending Exodus on that day, where the cloud of the Lord's manifest presence would move and the people would follow. And the application he made was each time the church set out to be in a new physical place, the church meaning Valleydale specifically, each time that church set out to be in a new place, it's them following the will of the Lord.
Right. And 2 big takeaways from yesterday were you can follow God into the unknown, and that as you follow God, you'll never walk into the future alone. And I do think that was the vision of those founders that just said, we feel like God's calling us to do this, and if He's calling us to do this, we're going to do it. And as he asked them yesterday in the service, did you have any idea that this is what you'd be looking at 50 years down the road? And of course, they had no idea.
No idea.
Yeah.
But they were just following what they discerned was the will of the Spirit. And we've all been there before where we say, I know I have to do this. I have to make this move. I have to have this conversation. I need to build this relationship. And we don't know why. We just know that that's what the Spirit is convicting us to do. And those families from the community, that one, and his name's escaping me. I think it was Earl too, who was coming from Lakeside Baptist, and he knew this has the potential to be a healthy church in a growing area, and this area needs it. But they had no idea it was going to be, with all the ups and downs. They had no idea we'd be in this wonderful facility, fully paid off 50 years later, with not 1 but 2 gyms. Keep that in mind. And you can't visualize these things. So there's a sense in which every time we follow God, we're going into the unknown.
Absolutely.
We don't know what the future holds. He does. The whole thing is an exercise in our trust of the Lord. Now, Pastor also had that section, and Lord help me, I was all over the place. I didn't take notes yesterday, but he had that great section on talking about the ways that the cloud represented Christ. Do you have any notes on that?
I do.
I'd love to look at that for a second.
Yeah, so the cloud was like Jesus in that it was an unerring guide.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
That's the first one. Put your glasses on.
Yeah, I do need to put my glasses on for this. Yeah, guiding light, cloud for shade, cloud of protection. All these things, we don't have to go in depth, but I just appreciate the work that Pastor is doing to remind us that these things, that what we see in the Old Testament, all of it is pointing to who Christ is. And those things, the shade, the guiding light, all of that imagery, and this would be my stump the pastor questions if he was here, but all of that imagery is repeated in the major and the minor prophets later on, pointing to the one who will come and save, the Messiah who will lead Israel. That obviously we know now is Jesus Christ, but all of that is foreshadowed by that cloud, among other things, but that was helpful. Man, I almost teared up reading the text yesterday, just thinking about what that must have been like for Moses, like to have completed the tabernacle and going on faith to put all of these things together, the robes for the priests, and they've got to ordain the priests, and they've got to anoint the priests, and that's just the people. They've also got to do everything to do with the physical dwelling. They've got to get those 4 layers on top of a solid gold frame, and they have to put all of this together with the menorah and the other furniture, and they just have to hope that this is the right thing, that this is what God has told them and directed them to do. And then when it's all done, he stands in front, and the presence of the Lord descends, and it's so glorious that he can't even go inside.
Right. And I know it's a little bit of a side thought, but I thought so. Coming into the weekend, we had some things that we were waiting on to be delivered to help make the anniversary celebration.
We did.
You know, and it was so frustrating. It was like
stuff.
we're literally just pulling up our phones. Is it in transit? Is it scheduled to be? Think about all of the stuff they had to source.
Yeah.
Like the one that stands out from all the stuff that Pastor talked about is was it dolphin?
Yeah, porpoise.
Porpoise,
skin.
yeah.
They had to get that, which they were close enough to water that's reasonable that they would have found
It's
that.
reasonable, but still.
Yeah, it's really
In the
hard.
age of Amazon.com, it's just like, it's just impressive. I mean,
really
you think
is.
about being obedient, and they were having to, there were just some huge tasks that they had
Timeline.
to.
They had a lot more patience with timelines back then.
Yes.
You know, you think about Noah, it's estimated that it took him, scholars differ, but it's like between 75 and 125 years to build the ark. And obviously people lived a lot longer back then. But that, I'm sure he got discouraged, but it was kind of like, well, this is just my life's work. This is just what I do. And I feel like the people that were in the wilderness, like, well, this is just what else are we going to do?
Right.
We don't have our iPhones. We don't really even have books to read. There's just the work we got to do to stay alive, and then here's the work we got to do to please the Lord.
Yeah, I
We're
thought
content
about
to do it.
this morning that how we kind of call them out sometimes for the grumbling that they
Yeah.
had about the manna, or like we're just wandering, we're out here to die. Can we please just go back and be slaves? All those things. But bottom line is they did go. Like
They
they
did.
did follow.
They did.
And they did, for the most part, continue to follow where God was leading them. So
It's interesting. I guess we can close up here, but Pastor talked about how the next generation was led by Joshua and Caleb, and that the next generation, they only set out once that previous generation had died off. That was God's judgment on the people for them grumbling in the wilderness. And I'm glad you said that. It wasn't like their whole lives were a waste or something like that, but God had a particular chastisement that he gave them. You're not going to see the land. Your next generation will see it. But when Joshua and Caleb set out, Pastor called them a big group of teenagers, because all these that remained were just so young. And that's a fascinating thought, and it makes me kind of wish that Pastor would just go straight forward and preach Joshua, but I know he's not going to do that. So I think he's got a standalone message coming up this week, and then after that, we've got, we're going to have, is this coming week the 17th?
yes.
Yeah, so then on the 24th, we'll have Iglesia with us again. We'll be singing lots of Spanish music at Iglesia. This is couple times a year they come and they get to baptize, and we have a joint baptism service. I'm super excited about that. And then before you know it, we're going to be into October. Wow.
Yeah. And a lot going on, as always. I did just want to end this, if we may,
Please.
on what, honestly, the whole 50th committee, as they've planned this, the staff, the pastors, Pastor Mac, yes, we want to celebrate, but we also want to make sure that people are looking ahead and are
Yeah.
excited about what God is doing. Two things in the videos that Jared made for us that really stood out yesterday, and I think you pointed this one out too, is our friend Cam Pugh started Iron City.
Great point.
Was what he ended that video with. There are people who will know Christ and grow in Christ without ever knowing Valley Dale's name. And that's a beautiful thing. We'll meet people in heaven because we have been faithful to branch out and do these things that God's calling us to do. And that next big thing that they talked about yesterday too is the family of churches.
Yeah, it's
So-
already, we don't have a logo, but it's already happening.
And it's exciting. Those are, Old Town is an example of that. I'll actually be back at Old Town this Sunday,
Oh, great, you're helping them out.
leading worship,
Good.
just to go back over there and be with them for worship. But it's an exciting time. I mean, I feel like very clearly our pastors have said this is where we really feel God calling us, is to invest in these other churches, to keep doors open on churches that otherwise may not be able to continue to do their work. So
Lord willing, we're going to see several more of those in the years to go, and it's all the Lord's work. I like what Cam said, and because that reminds us, these are wonderful memories, and we have a lot of ownership in our church, but that ultimately
That is what it's about.
It's the Lord's work, one day, by God's grace, this building won't stand anymore. These bodies won't stand anymore. But his word will endure forever. And his kingdom is forever. That sounds like the end of a song.
Nice.
His kingdom. Come on, Johanna. His kingdom is forever. Thanks for joining me on the last note. All right, guys,
welcome.
this has been fun. Thanks for tuning in, the both of you who are still with us. And we'll see you next week. Say goodbye, Johanna.
Bye. Bye, Joanna.